What's up, guys? Today's video, we're going to show you how to build custom cornhole boards. This is a side business that we have that we've been doing for a couple of years now, and we greatly enjoy it. That's where all of the woodworking stuff came from. We're going to go over a couple things. So here is our framing material. We have, this is Baltic birch plywood that I have ripped down to 3.5 inches thick. You can use 1x4s. Matter of fact, the knotty pine 1x4s are some of the best, some of the easier stuff you can get. So that set right there, that one in the middle is an old board from when we made a long time ago. The one to the left right there, that is knotty pine. And we burned it. And the one with the black frame here, that one is knotty pine as well, 1x4. So good stuff to use as well. Looks really nice. It's not as expensive as this Baltic birch. We build quite a few of them. So I buy a full sheet of 4x8, 3/4 inch Baltic birch plywood, and then I rip it down on my table saw. We also buy grade A1 domestic birch 3/4 inch plywood. These are our tops, and the reason why we use that material, we do a lot of custom stain work on our tops, and the grade A1 is by far the best stain grade plywood you can get, and the grain pattern is amazing. I'll show you that in just a few minutes. But here we are. I've ripped down a lot of our wood, taking 3 sets of frames. That's why there's so many strips here, and I'll show you the process of what I do. Now, I give a 1-inch overhang around the entire board. If you want to add lights to it, this works really well for that. Gives you a lip to mount your lights. Now the boards, regulation size boards, are 24 inches across by 48 inches long. If you want to do an overhang, the 1 inch on each side, the way I do it, I'll have plans too. You can download below where you get your cut sheet, all that good stuff too. Now, the outside edges on mine, I do 46 inches. And then on the inside ones, it's 20.5. I'm gonna go ahead and get cutting on my outside frames. I need 4 outside frame pieces per set. Let's get those cut real quick, get them stacked over here. Our outside edges will be done. We'll start cutting down our center braces. Here's our outside frame pieces. Now, let's get busy cutting our top, bottom, and centers. You'll save your offcuts because you will use these later. All right, here's all our frame material. Then I'm building three sets. We have a customer that's ordered one, and we're building 2 more for Christmas to try to sell just as is. For the sake of time, it'll be easy if you just buy the 1x4 pine board that's already there. You can get treated if you want. I don't use the treated. I mean, you shouldn't be leaving your cornhole boards outside. They're gonna get ruined. Weather's not their friend, even if you have them clear coated. But the Baltic birch is water resistant, not waterproof, and it can withstand a little bit of moisture. It's just really good material to use. That's why we've gone through a bunch of different materials, and this is by far our favorite, not the cheapest. Knotty pine being our second favorite. It looks really nice, and we still use that here and there just because of the aesthetics. If we have a very southern country style western look that we're trying to achieve for a customer, we'll use knotty pine and we'll burn it like you saw on the Astro board up top. But other than that, this is our go-to. We will stain the frame sometimes, just depends. Now, we've got our material cut. So it is 3 20.5 inch, 3.5 wide, 3/4 inch thick pieces of wood. This is our inner frame pieces. Now, I do cross braces in the middle of our boards. What I've done over to save materials now, I take one of my 3 and I rip it right down the middle, and I get 2 center braces. It makes the boards really rigid. They have no bounce, and you'll even see other big time builders do this too. They all have their own methods. I used to do 2 full-size strips, but I changed it to do 2 half-size strips, and it still gives you the same rigidity. We tie it into the side frames and into the tops. We'll go over that later. One of the critical things, the way I do the side frames is I cut them 2 at a time, and whenever the 2 that I cut, they stay together throughout the entire build process. So these 2 here are married to each other, and same thing with these 2, same thing with these 2, so on and so forth, if I'm building regular sets. The reason why is because no matter what, these 2 are cut the exact same length. I don't care who you are. If you use a stop block, good for you. You know, it saves you from having any discrepancies in your wood dimensions, but I don't, so I do 2 at a time, and these 2 stay together for the rest of the entire thing. And then these, I do 3 at a time, same scenario. I know all 3 of these are all the same distance. I don't have any issues when I go to fit it all up, glue it, and screw it all together. Now, next step, we're gonna get our holes drilled for our legs. I've made jigs. This is my stop block for my hole, and here's my hole locator. Now, I'll give you the dimensions for that. I take my stop block, it's 1.5 inches for my template to butt up against, it's 1.5 inches to the edge of my template. So I'll put this on the end of my board here, like so. Take my whole template, butt it up against here, just go boom, that's it. And then I go through that process on the rest of our boards. Now, this is an actual piece, this is another piece of plywood that I've cut down, and what I like to do is, this is a little bit smaller than my strips of 3.5 inches, so I shift it to the bottom. The hole placement is important, it's critical actually. I shift it to the bottom, and I'll mark it, you know, and put like, you know, put this right here, like bottom. And this is where I'll drill my pocket holes, and it'll mount onto the board. Same thing with this one, so this will be bottom. The hole is 3 7/16 back, so 3 7/16. So you're gonna mark your 3 7/16, get you a square, scribe your line, go exactly in the middle of 3.5 inches. Boom, there's your leg location for the legs that I do, okay? But if you follow this process here, here's my leg template here, and I've got my hole already situated in the top. Now, like I said, we'll have dimensions for all this. I build a lot, so I have a lot of templates and jigs that I can use. But I'll have all the dimensions for the legs and everything in the description down below. This is 1 inch, 1 11/16, and then centered. So 1 11/16 from top of arc down, okay? And then just center the hole up. It's 35 degrees is my angle for the legs to sit flat on the ground. The way that it works, it's 11 5/8 to the short side. And then, 14 to the long side. So I'll show you guys this. So here's our leg template right here. The hole is 1 11/16 down, centered up on 3.5 inches, or whatever thickness you do. To the short end of the angle, 11 5/8 to the short, 14 to the long. You mark this line. So I would cut your piece to 15 inches, cut it long, get your radius marked out first, drill your hole first. After you get the radius marked and cut, have this marked too, but then remeasure everything and make sure you're good to go. You can cut the angle first to do this last. As long as you have this hole in the right location, it doesn't really matter. This is critical here. The hole location is critical for this and on your frames. And you want them to be straight. You don't want your holes to be wonky either. So hole location here, 3 7/16, centered up on your framing material. Hole location here, 1 11/16, 35-degree angle, 11 5/8, 14 inches on the long. All right, we've got all of our holes marked on our boards. Now we're going to go to the drill press. You don't have to have a drill press for this. You can use a regular drill. I have found out that the drill press is perfect. Well, it's more perfect than my arms. I would have issues in the past when I would build the boards and my legs would just be they'd get bound up because my holes were kind of cocked a little bit. So I bought a drill press a couple years back. It was on sale on Amazon for like 40 bucks. Nothing humongous. So we're gonna go over there, get you set up. We're gonna punch our holes. Okay, now got all of our holes drilled. This is a critical part. I use pocket holes for everything here. Now, when you get your legs drilled for your hole, when you get your hole drilled for your legs, now you have to be careful because you can turn these pieces into scrap wood. This is where it becomes very important. Remember, I marked the bottom of where my leg was going to be. For you guys, if you're marking in the center, it doesn't really matter. But this part will matter. Now, you take your boards. There's a hole here where my fingers are. This, open it up just like that. Pocket hole, pocket hole. So you're going to mark it on the inside where they're touching each other. So pocket, pocket, boom, boom. They go on the inside. Because if you do them both on the same side, you'll have either 2 left-handed pieces or 2 right-handed pieces. But if you do the pocket holes before the holes go on, it doesn't really matter. But then you have to be mindful once I put the holes on. Okay. Now, drill our holes. Take our boards. We have them like this. Here's our 2 outside edge frame pieces. Open them up like that. Pocket holes are going to go this way. Pocket holes are going to go this way. Let's get our pocket holes marked up. Move on to the next step. So grab my 2 pieces here. Lay one down. Lay them both down. Open it up this way. Now, the way I do it, I go, our frame pieces, inside frame pieces, go inside like so. They sit on top of these. So pocket holes will go into here, and we'll mark that and show you later. This is 3/4 of an inch thick. So my first drill mark, I go over 1 1/4 inch on both sides. So 1 1/4 inch here, 1 1/4 inch over here. Boom. And then I go dead center. We're 46 inches, so 23. Boom, dead center. And then I go 11 1/2. 11 1/2. That's 5 screws for pocket holes. And you go through here, mark it like so. Bam, there's 1. Now, this is where it gets funny. So I'm gonna use this as my template. So I'm gonna grab one of these, the next one. I'm gonna open it up, flip it like that, line it up, boom, 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 boom. Move this one up here, bring this one down here, bam, 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 bam. Close this one up, that one's done. Remember, this one mates to this piece here, so I don't want to take this away. After you get your last one marked, you're in multiple, grab your first one, sister them back up. Our pocket hole location's marked for outside frame materials. Yep, I gotta take one piece from each of these and rip them in half. Okay, it's time to rip down our inside frame material. I set my blade to, with this 3.5 inches. So I set my blade to be 1 3/4 inch from the fence to the very center of my blade. We got 6 pieces. Let's get them ripped up. All right, guys. Here's our half strips. Here's our 6 top bottom frame pieces, 2 per. Here's all of our frame material. We have our outside edges, our center braces, our top and bottom braces. We're all set. And then let's get them marked up. I do 3 screws here, go over 1 inch, go over 1 inch and a quarter. Inch and a quarter. Because our pocket holes are drilling in here, and we don't want to take away too much material by drilling our hole this way. So 1 and a quarter in, 1 and a quarter in, right in the middle, 20 and a half, be 10 and a quarter. All right, all of our materials are marked, ready for pocket holes. Pocket hole jig all the way. For me, I don't screw into the face of ours. I try to hide all the screws. So whenever you get these things built with the pocket holes, there are no screws to the visible eye until you flip it over and you can see everything on the bottom side. You can follow this exact same process. It'll save you some time. We charge a good amount of money for our boards, so we want to make sure they are as perfect as humanly possible and as nice as humanly possible, because this is a small business for us. Let's get the pocket hole jig set up. Next stop of this process, pocket holes. This right here has been a great investment. I've had this thing for several years now. It has made a lot of money. It has paid for itself 10 times over. If you're looking to make you one board, do what works best for you. Hide your screws, okay? If you're gonna spend all this time, you're gonna put a nice stain on it, nice finish. You don't want screws in the top of your board, period. All right. If you buy one of these, I guarantee you will find another use for it along the way. Craig has a great jig. There's markers here on the side, 3/4 inch. That's our material thickness. So whatever material thickness you're screwing into, you want to set the depth correctly here. We're set to 3/4 inch already. Here's our drill gauge right here. Indications of how deep you want your drill bit to go per material thickness. Our target's this one here, 3/4 inch. Set your drill up. It's already set. Set screws nice and tight. We're at 3/4 of an inch already. This is what I was talking about. So the 1 and a quarter mark is not going to work. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to mark these again and come back another inch. Because what happens is you're drilling out the collar and the shelf of where these will mount into, and it sets the depth of your screw too deep because we're moving the material here. So I'm going to set it back another inch to where we're on the edge of this right here. So it'll be 2 1/4 inches off the face for your top and bottom screw location. Now, you don't have to worry about adjusting the screw location for your thicker boards. It's only for these, because this here will be enough. There's no material here in the way whenever you go to drill this one in. These are just so close because of how close together this piece of wood is. It takes away the collar material for the screw to seat on in the wood. So leave these as they are, 1 1/4 inch in. Shift the shorter ones, skinnier boards, over 2 1/4. And so here's our hole, shifted over 1 inch, be 2 1/4. You see what I mean? See how deep that is right there? If you can kind of see that or not. But that collar where the screw sits is eaten away with this pocket hole drilled right here. So That right there, that's our old mark. One over here is our new mark. So 2¼ inches from the edge over here. All right, guys, here are our blank canvases. Would you just look at that wood grain pattern? So here's a set. So here's one. Here's the sister to that one. Similar, almost identical wood grain pattern. Here's this one. Similar wood grain pattern on that one too. Again, for our tops, we buy 4x8 sheets. If you get 1 sheet of plywood, you'll get 4 tops, 2 sets. If you want to have your board pay for itself, make you 2. Let's sell one on Facebook Marketplace for a reasonable price and make your money back. We got some prep work to do on these. We've already cut them down to size. I'm gonna double check them here in a second. I have to mark our holes, cut the holes out. We're gonna round over the corners here, and then we're gonna round over the entire top. All 3/8 of an inch round over. The hole for the cornhole boards is 6 inches. Here's our 6-inch hole saw. Man, this is the easiest and the fastest way. And people don't like it because it has a lot of tear out. If you just go slow and take your time, you won't have much tear out on the back side. And I round over my edges anyway, so it really cleans up really nice. We're gonna go over 12. Boom, 12 inches, marker 12. Come down 9. Boom, there's our 9 inches. Here's our whole center, right there. Over 12, down 9. If you don't go fast, you won't get a whole bunch of tear out. Take your time, go slow, let the drill do the work, and there's your biscuit. Got our holes drilled. Now we're gonna round over our corners. So here's my template for a round over. Use my flush trim bit on my router. I clamp this to the bottom of the board and round over all 4 of my edges. Just like a 1 inch, 1.5 inch radius, nothing too crazy. It just really breaks that hard edge on the boards and it makes it look really nice. After you get one of your boards with all the corners broken, scrap the template. Here's your template. For those of you that want something you can use as a template, it can literally be the cap from a body armor drink. So you see here, line up on your corner. Here's a bare paint can lid, same thing. Line up on your corners, mark your edges. Nothing too crazy. There's one set right there. There you go. Okay. Our tops have the corners rounded over. Now we're gonna round over the edges. This is where I set the depth to. Get the router plane flat, and I set that collar right there just below the deck. You can see right there, it's just below it. Now bring the barb just below the deck of the surface, lock it down. It's these little details like this where you round over your edges, take the time, make sure you use good quality plywood that make your build last and stand out from other people's builds. If you find a cornhole builder such as us, that you'll see a lot of them do very similar processes like we do here. It makes the boards look sensational, and you'll see at the end of this as we progress. The ones I showed you up top, those are very old. They've been thrown in the back of my truck multiple different times. They have been to several tournaments. They have been beaten up, and they're still going strong. And we have done a lot of improvements on our boards today than when we were building those up top that I showed you earlier on in the video. All right, we got all of our pocket holes drilled. Now it's time to assemble our frames. So here's our outside edge pieces. These are top, bottom, and middle pieces. Got our 1 1/4 inch pocket holes screws. Our impact driver with the square head drill bit for the Craig screws. Got our bar clamp to hold our stuff together. Some wood glue. So let's get assembling all these and we'll fast forward through it. Make sure you have your pocket holes all facing in their correct direction. And make sure your holes where you drilled for your legs, right here and right here, are also on the same side. So I'm gonna have them facing each other, like so. See no holes, see the holes, they're facing down. These are my 2 center braces. Put this over here for now. Got one of our outside edges. Knock out any of the extra sawdust. Make sure the pocket holes are going into the table. Line it up. Line it up. Bar clamp. Glue. Like so. Smooth it out. Nice for the general. Opposite side. Take out the excess. Put it on this side. Line it up. Make sure it's flush. Remember, these pieces go inside. These are outside. Get it flushed up. Line up your bar clamp. Get it nice and flush. Wipe away your excess glue. Unclamp it. Go to the bottom. Make sure everything's flush. Clamp her down to the bottom screw. There's one side, nice and flush. Flip it around, other side. All right, there's our outside edges. Now let's put our inside braces in. Those are a little different. I made spacers. So these are 15.5 inches long. They go from just like this. They butt up against the front and the top and bottom. Take my spacer or my center brace, pocket holes facing the front, facing the bottom. Put the glue on here. There's my space right there. 15.5 inches from inside board down. And then I cinch it up, make sure everything's flush, throw the clamp on it, we're good to go. Here's our spacer. Like I said, 15.5 inches from inside to top, 15.5 over. Butt that up against your spacer here. Put your glue. Make sure it's flush on the bottom at your outside edges. You see our gap here. We're looking good, nice and flush. Punch your holes in, punch your screws in. Here we go, guys. Here's our frame. Some of you might be wondering why do 2 of these in the middle? It really stiffens up your board. Okay. Whenever you play on boards without braces, they have a lot of flex, a lot of bounce. It also makes a difference using 3/4 inch versus 1/2 inch for the plywood tops. This really stiffens up your boards, makes them play sensationally well. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. However, you buy a board from us, this is what you're going to get. 3/4 inch Baltic birch plywood, 2 braces in the middle. That's how it's going to be, and 3/4 inch plywood tops. This is the way to go. We used to do a single brace in the middle. Didn't like how it played, so we changed our design. Now we do 2 braces in the middle. Play is amazing. There's no bounce out of our boards hardly at all anymore. You're playing the board, the bags hit the board and they slide. This is it. Here's one. We're gonna buzz through the rest of these, so enjoy. Here we are. There's all 6 of our frames. Like I said, we're doing 3 sets. There's our tops. Another project we're working on here, making some Christmas trees. That's it for now. Next shot, we're gonna be mounting these bad boys onto the frames. See you in a sec. Our frames mounted to our tops. I got all my materials, wood glue, screws, 1 1/4 inch pocket hole screws, same as we used on the frames, our impact driver, wood clamps, 4 1-inch spacers, and we'll go over that in just a minute. Let's get our top. We're gonna get our frame laid up on here. We're laying the frame upside down, so the pocket holes are currently facing this direction. We're going to use our spacer, 1 inch here, 1 inch on this side, get it evened out, 1 inch on the front, 2 1 inch on the front. Get this direction situated here, make sure it's flush, wood clamp. You can see here, we're pretty much making a jig with our spacers. Here's 2 spacers here, nice and snug. 2 spacers here, nice and snug too. Our frame's upside down. As you can see here, there's a gap here. This will be on the bottom. We're gonna run a bead of wood glue all the way around, across the center braces. After we get our wood glue situated here, we're gonna flip it over and use these to get us in the right spot. Get your glue brush and work your glue around nice and even. When I got it flipped over, use another clamp. We're going to do our corners first. Go to that end, do those corners, make sure everything's squared, and then punch the rest of them out. I use the clamps to hold the frame down to the tops, because sometimes what will happen if you're just holding it down with your hands, you'll see your frame will like lift up before the screw starts. Holding it down with the clamp, make sure the frame doesn't move on you, and you get a nice good seat. And there's no gaps underneath on the bottom. Take our clamps off. There we go. Grab 2 spacers. Go to this end over here. Line it up, line it up. Make sure they feel even. Feels pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and clamp this corner. Check it. Now that we've got this corner clamped down, we're gonna go ahead and send 2 screws in here, and now we know our frame's in position, and go around and screw everything down. Now we got to clamp down, pull our clamp away, move down. Our next 2 holes are here, here, and right here in the center brace. Clamp it down, punch them down. Okay, we have our screws in this whole board, this frame, in that corner. Now we're gonna spin it. Now we have this screw, this corner, this whole board, and then the center boards, center screws out. Okay, that's it. We got it all screwed down everywhere. Nice and tight. Real good and tight. Now, the depth of these, if you're using an impact driver, whenever you go to cinch these down, as soon as you go to push it in and you start hearing your impact do like 2 or 3 impact noises, that's enough. Don't go any further than that. That's all you got to do. If you're using a regular drill, as soon as you feel your drill start bogging down, that's it. You can see how deep these are. They're really not that deep in there. So once you get that seated on once you get the screw seated on the collar, that's it. You don't want to go any more deeper than that, because these are just underneath the surface of the top. But there's one down. I'm not going to bore you guys with the speed up of me doing the rest of them, but here's one. That's it. There's one cornhole board, almost ready. Run your hand across where your screws are, just to make sure none of them got punched through, and you should be all set. Now, one thing I will say is, if you do not, this is how I figured this situation out for these style center braces. I did not move our outside edge holes here, and that's how I realized that we had drilled them too deep, because I put them on top of the pocket holes going in this direction into the side frames. And I flipped it over, ran my hand across close to the edge. I ran my hand over an exposed screw, and it cut me up pretty good. So what I had to do was back the screw out a little bit and wood fill the top, sand it, and roll through, because we were already too far along the process, and our glue had already hardened for these, and I didn't want to go through and destroy something. So you get really good at patching your mistakes. And then we moved on to stain. All right, guys, we're working on our legs. Now we already have our template. The way I would say to do this is you're gonna have to cut 4 legs, 2 per board top. I would get one perfectly to the dimensions we've mentioned already. With your hole drilled, get one leg perfect where it needs to be, and use that as your template to make all the rest of them. Now, as we've discussed, I'm making several boards, so this is my process. Now I take my template that I've already created, I butt it up against the end here, mark my radius for my leg, mark my angle, mark my hole. Bam, there's our leg. Now I flip it, angle opposite, like so. Give yourself enough gap for your blade thickness. Don't put the lines right on top of each other. Give yourself 1/8 of an inch or close. Mark your angle, mark your radius, mark your hole. There's 2. Now, butt your curve up against each other. Give yourself another 1/8 of an inch gap for your blade thickness. Mark your radius. Mark your hole. Mark your line. As you see here, we have 3 legs drawn out on our board. These boards, remember, I cut mine at 48 inches long. So I'll get 3 legs per 48 inches, okay? You do the same thing and rip your boards down like I did from a full sheet of plywood, you'll get the same thing. If you buy the knotty pine wood 1x4s and you get 8 footers, you'll be able to cut it just enough where you can get 4 legs out of the right piece of right length board. So one 8-footer will give you 3 legs and you'll have extra left over. All right? Now, I do the same thing I did with my frames. I'm gonna take 2 boards and I'm gonna cut my legs out, right? So I'm gonna butt these up, sister this up, mark my angle, cut these 2, cut these 2. And then I'll take it to my drill press, I'll clamp these down, punch both those holes, punch both these holes, punch both these holes. And that way, these legs go together, these legs go together, and these legs go together. Let's move over to the saw, get these cut. All right, got all our legs cut. Now we're gonna go to the drill press, punch out all of our holes. Our bolts for our legs are 3/8 of an inch. Use a 3/8 drill bit. All right, we got our holes drilled for our legs. Punch through both of them. Now we're gonna transfer our radius that we have on the front, on the first leg we marked up, to the second leg. Now let's go ahead and go to our scroll saw. We're gonna rip off these corners. I'll show you that now. You don't have to use a scroll saw for this. If you have a jigsaw, that's perfectly fine. If you have a jigsaw, get you a clamp it down, zip the ears off with a jigsaw. Now, this is why I say to mark your holes and drill them first before you cut your radius, because you're gonna wonk this up, okay? It's okay. The radius of this doesn't matter where it is whenever you have your hole marked and drilled already. This will be just fine. But if you mark your radius and then drill your hole, odds are you're gonna cut this different on each leg and your holes will be in different location. So with a perfect flat edge after you cut it on your saw, that's why I mark mine and then do my hole first, okay? Look at that. That is wonked up, guys. Okay, so it's okay though. I'm gonna take them to the sander. We're gonna zip all that off, make it a nice pretty rounded edge, because all I care about is this here and having a nice rounded over top whenever we open and close our legs on the cornhole board. We got all our legs sanded down. You can see our radius looks real good, nice and smooth on all of them now. We're gonna take our 3/8 roundover bit and we're gonna run it around all edges of our legs. It really sets the legs up, makes them look really good, really clean. I have a belt sander disc sander combo over here on my bench, and it just knocks us down real quick. You don't have to have that to do this. I used to do this with my hand sander, which is also just as easy. Let me get my router, show you guys one, and now I'm gonna punch the rest of them out and show you the next process. Now stand our router up like this, hold it firm, bring the piece to it like a table, and run it around. You can see it breaks those corners up, makes them look real nice. And I'm gonna sand this again. I forgot to do something on my sander. I usually don't leave this sharp. I usually round this over. So I'm gonna do that again and redo this. Nothing too crazy. See the difference? This one's real soft. So you can see it's not so sharp, not such a point. These will get damaged real easy. This is a lot more blunt and it's a lot softer. These are our braces for our legs. You don't have to do this either. This is something that we do that just makes our board work a little bit better. We put these between our 2 legs, so you just grab the brace and lift both your legs up at the same time. This is where we put our brand. Now, this thing is hot. Not sure if you can You won't be able to see this too well, but we got a Gearhart Industries branding iron, and I'll show you what it looks like here. So DK Woodworks is the name of our little business. This is a little wonky, has a knot right here, but gives it a little extra edge, makes it look really nice. And whenever we close the legs up, this is visible in the hole too, which is really cool. So we've got our cross braces cut, I've already burned them. I've got my pocket holes drilled. Here's all of our legs. Now, this step here, you don't have to do this. Like I mentioned in the previous shot, these are 2x3s that I have planed down to be very nice and clean. And we put pocket holes in. If you're doing this step and you don't have a jig to put your legs together, the way you're gonna do it, you're gonna act like this is your boards. You're gonna put your legs in upside down where the point is flat against the board. So, all right, our points are flat against our board. This is our board top. If you do this step, and you do the pocket holes, you just put your glue in here, slap it down, and screw your screws in. Now, what's interesting, if you go this route here, the board thickness of this is 2 3/8, and you have to modify your pocket hole jig right here. You'll raise your block up to be 2 3/8 instead of 3/4 inch, which I already did this. So you'll adjust this to your material thickness. Now, I'm using 1.5 inch screws for this part. This is custom. The depth setting of your drill bit is custom for me. So I undo the set screw here on the Craig drill bit, and I bring it down on the collar where it's barely almost flush with the step on the drill bit. You can see there. And then get it in place, and then I cinch this back down. That is our drill bit depth for our 2x3 cross member for our legs. And it doesn't go too deep into the leg material. That's custom. I'll have that notated as well in the plans, okay? But something to look into. If you're not doing this and you're doing the jig, you don't have to do pocket holes. You can literally screw into the sides. It's just a little bit harder. Doing it this way, I can lay everything flat up against the board, put this in, and put my screws in, and that's it. If you're doing it without, and you want to screw into the sides of your leg, it's a little bit harder. You just have to support your brace, put it in here somehow, some way, and screw into the sides. There we are. There's one leg. No screws sticking out of the face. Good and flush. As I said, guys, you don't have to do this in the middle. You can just put your legs in your boards and you'll be good to go. Makes it look really nice. Makes it easy to lift the boards up too. You come over here, grab the middle, pull your legs up, and that's it. Want to do this again. Put your legs in here, put your screws in, or put your bolts in. Take your cross member, get it set up in here. Make sure everything's flush. Make sure everything's flat. Make sure your legs are flat against your board top. Make sure your cross brace is flat too. Get your 1.5 inch pocket hole screws. Cinch them down. There we go. There's another one. Real simple. And if you guys are just building one set, you're done. That's it. You got 2 legs. All right, Will, we finished up our legs. As you can see here, it's been a couple days since we've built our legs. Now we have a couple of sets we're going to be knocking out. This set here is for a customer with Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. They contacted us to build them some cornhole boards. Now these are clear coated, as you can see. They look really good. They've been sitting for a couple days. They're good and cured up. Time to flip this over. We're going to put our finishing touches on it, and we're going to get these boards done and over and out the door. If you already cleared your boards, get you a towel, put a towel down so you don't scratch them up. As you remember before, earlier in the video, I told you to save your offcuts from your frames. We're gonna make these little tabs here. They're gonna go on the inside of your frame pieces, here and here, and I'll show you close up of that. And it allows the boards to close up together. These ones will be ripped in half, make little tabs, round over one corner, just like so. You get 4 of them. They will go inside, rounded edge facing to the top, rounded edge facing the bottom, and then opposing side. You're gonna make sure your bottom is flush to your bottom of your board. Get it flush against your frames. Put some screws in. Okay, now we're gonna put our rope handle on. I'm gonna show you how to mark that out. We'll have the dimensions in there too. We have a nice thick braided 5/8 inch. It's called Black Derby on Amazon. We get a big roll of it, but it feels really good in the hands. It's really soft. So we're gonna get this put in on that other side over there. So I go over an inch from the back side of our tabs here. An inch from our back side of the tab. Put your little pencil mark. Inch from the back side of the tab. Put your pencil mark. Get you a piece of tape. This will help from the spade bit tearing out the face of your frame. Get your piece of tape. Just kind of line it up with your 1/2 inch mark or your 1 inch mark here in the center of your board. I'll show you that. Our boards are 3.5 inches long or wide, so you're gonna go down 1 inch and 3/4. Those are too critical. Here's our 1 inch mark here, our 1 inch mark here. Use our square, come down 1 3/4. Put the tape on first. When you drill these out, it won't tear out your wood. Go just enough where your spade bit pokes through the backside. You're gonna stop, come on this side, and finish the hole. Get you some sandpaper, clean out your holes. Feed it through one side. Feed it back through. Burn off any little fuzzies that pop up. Tie you a simple knot. Pull it through, get it tight. Now we're gonna go over here. We're gonna do a simple knot here. Try to get it as tight as you can. Get you a sharp razor blade and cut. Take your handle, burn your ends. Tie your knot. 2.5 inch carriage bolts, some washers, and of course, some nuts. Start your bolt. You're gonna get your washer to stay right there. I got a piece of wood in the way. Let your washer stay there. Like so. Do your other side, get it ready. You're gonna carefully just kind of guide your legs across. Once you get pressure on there, your washer will stay in place. Get it started. Hammer it the rest of the way. All right. Our bolts are in. Now we're gonna seat our carriage bolt into the wood. Take a dab of Loctite. Put on your threads. Good tight fit. There we go. That is finished. I'm gonna move this one out of the way. These tabs only go on one board, just one. The other board that's right there will not have tabs. I'm gonna put the handle on and the leg on, and we'll show you what it looks like whenever it's closed up. All right, now that we've got our other handle on, I'll get the legs on here in a minute, show you how this works out. So you make sure your handle's on the same side, handle, line it up. Like so. They close up together like a briefcase. Now you have a nice carrying handle, and they won't fall apart whenever you carry them around. These are like little plastic D-clips you can get for like a kayak and stuff. So I take this here on the bottom of our board, I mount it right here. So our distance here is 22 inches. We're gonna go up 11, right there. Make sure it's good and straight. Put the other one in. All right, this is the front of our other one, so I'm gonna flip it around. All right, here's the bottom of our other one. 11 inches. Center it up. Screw it down. Make sure it's straight. And for me, I like to have the screws in the same orientation. Now, here's my distance cable. I have carabiner clips on the ends of these. I custom make these to be the distance they need to be to attach. They attach here. You set your boards up, attach your clip there, attach your clip to the other side, walk it out. Whenever this cable gets tight, you're at your regulation 27 foot. That's it, guys. That wraps it up. These boards are ready to go. They're ready to be given to our customer. They'll be here this week. Pick them up. Texas boards will be up next. If you guys made this far, I know this is a long video. It's a lot of process. I didn't go over the staining of it yet. I will go over that in the next video. That should be pretty short and easy, but it's very straightforward, and we'll cover that on the next one. If you want to build yourself some really nice cornhole boards, this is how you do it. I'll have the plans in the Google Drive in the link below. Hope you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.